Eating an Ishfamin.
Hancock residents experiencing brown water. Hi, I'm Eric Urban.
And I'm Samantha Ruff, and this is your Public Eye News. Tony Gervasi and Brandy Savell of Eli Township knew something was wrong last Thursday when their pet pig Caesar didn't come home. The next morning, the DNR knocked on their door and informed them that they had shot the pig. The man with the DNR said that the pig did not charge him, but he had to shoot the pig under the rights he has as a conservation officer under the feral swine laws. In the area, wild pigs have been a problem in the past. Gervasi and Savell were told they won't be getting the body of the pet back unless it's in ashes. The DNR says, quote, "It's the agency's intent to never ever shoot someone's pet. Swine running at large on private or public property is considered to be a nuisance," end quote. Two councils recently gathered to discuss issues of development and zoning ordinances in hopes to help the Ishfamin community move forward. They spoke about renewing zoning ordinances that will help residents understand and help develop areas where they live. In addition, they also passed forward the Hematite Heights project. Environmental testing will begin on the land that could be used for potential residential housing. The zoning ordinances could take up to 2 years to complete, and the process will begin as soon as possible.
Some Hancock residents are dealing with brown water coming from their faucets. Work crews in Hancock are busy trying to fix a water main break on the city's east side. The break occurred over the weekend on Cooper Avenue between East and Vivian Street. Some residents have complained about brown, dirty water coming through their pipes, and Public Works Director Bill Marler says most customers won't be affected by the break, but residents in the area should run their water until it's clear. Water then will be safe enough to drink, and crews are continuing to work on the break until repairs on the line are complete. A federal judge says parts of Michigan's sex offender registry law are unconstitutional, including a requirement that offenders stay at least 1,000 feet from schools. The Detroit Free Press reports that U.S. District Judge Robert Cleland struck down several reporting requirements of the 1994 law, which has been amended several times by state lawmakers to make requirements stricter. Cleland says offenders must guess about school safety zones and aren't provided with enough information to follow the law. Cleland also struck down a mandate that offenders report new email and instant messaging addresses in person and notify authorities of all phone numbers they routinely use. The state and law enforcement are reviewing the ruling.
Police in Kalamazoo are still searching for the person or persons responsible for a homemade explosive that ended up in a dam along the Kalamazoo River. Consumers Energy employees found a jug that contained an accelerant and firework that was taped to the side of it. It did not appear that the homemade bomb was meant to threaten the Valley Township and that it could have floated down the river from somewhere else. Polls in Wisconsin officially opened to the public this morning at 7 a.m. Voters can decide whether or not to re-elect Justice Ann Walsh Bradley to her third 10-year term at the Supreme Court or to choose her opponent, Judge James Dawley. Voters can also consider getting rid of the 126-year-old practice of having a senior member serve as the Chief Justice. The voting turnout is expected to be small. Only 2 out of 10 potential voters will cast their vote on the ballot. And after the break, we'll have your national and international news. Stay tuned.
8,000 warriors built for eternity, evidence of an advanced ancient empire.
No two are demonstrably the same.
The Chinese crossbow is 2 millennia ahead of its time.
Who created it, and at what cost?
He was a cruel tyrant. We're seeing an entire culture revealed to us.
The implications are enormous for archaeology.
Emperor's Ghost Army on Nova.
Wednesday evening at 9.
And welcome back. The State Department is expected to recommend that Cuba be removed from the government's list of state sponsors of terrorism, a U.S. official told CNN yesterday. It's a notorious designation that has been a stumbling block in the establishment of embassies in both Havana and Washington. According to the U.S. official, the expectation that Cuba will be removed from the list, but cautioned the Obama administration, has yet to make any formal announcement. The announcement could come as early as tomorrow. Jury deliberations are underway in the federal death penalty trial of accused Boston Marathon bomber Dzhokhar Tsarnaev. Chris Van Cleve has more from Boston.
Jurors are deciding whether Johar Tsarnaev is guilty for the 2013 bombings at the Boston Marathon and the violence that followed. On Monday, prosecutors finished closing arguments telling the jury of 5 men and 7 women that Tsarnaev and his older brother Tamerlan's attack was a cold, calculated terrorist act that was intentional and bloodthirsty and was to make a point to tell America that we will not be terrorized by you anymore. We will terrorize you. Tsarnaev's attorney Judy Clark continued with the theme Johar participated, but Tamerlan was the driving force, the one who planned the attacks, bought the materials, and made the bombs. If Tsarnaev is found guilty, the jurors will hear a second round of testimony before deciding on a sentence. 17 of the 30 counts against Tsarnaev could carry the death penalty. U.S. District Court Judge George O'Toole told jurors the judgment is entirely yours after they watched a graphic video montage of the bombings and heard closing arguments. He cautioned them to not allow their emotions to affect their decision as they pore over 16 days of graphic evidence and witness testimony. Before they were seated, each juror said they would consider the death penalty if the trial goes to the penalty phase. Chris Van Cleve, CBS News, Boston.
Kansas is looking to put an end to people on welfare using government money for the use of fun. The bill will aim to give those receiving aid under the Temporary Assistance for Needy Families more responsibility. Under the bill, people would no longer be allowed to spend the aid on piercings, massages, tobacco, salons, cruise ships, or trips to sidekicks. It will also forbid the funds to be spent at theme parks, dog or horse tracks, strip clubs, or any adult shops. The bill passed last week with support from the Republican majority in the House and Senate. Kentucky Senator and Tea Party favorite Rand Paul will announce he will run for the Republican presidential nomination. Susan McGinnis reports from Washington on his prospects amid what's expected to be a very crowded field.
It's time for a new way, a new set of ideas, a new leader, one you can trust.
A new campaign video gives an early glimpse into Senator Rand Paul's announcement later today. The Kentucky Republican will officially announce his candidacy for the 2016 Republican nomination at a rally in Louisville this morning. Paul will be the second candidate to throw a hat into the ring.
All right, didn't I say no hard questions?
Paul has a tall order ahead, hoping to attract younger and more diverse Republican voters while appealing to the conservative base he attracted during events like his 13-hour filibuster in 2013. Paul's campaign will try to portray him as a different Republican candidate, but with possibly a dozen contenders vying for the nomination, it may be tough to stand out.
I believe in the power of millions of courageous conservatives rising up.
Senator Ted Cruz kicked off his campaign last month. Still to come, possible announcements by former Florida Governor Jeb Bush, Wisconsin Governor Scott Walker, New Jersey Governor Chris Christie, and Florida Senator Marco Rubio. Experts say it's too early to assess Paul's prospects.
Over the coming months, I think it'll become clear whether he can build a coalition big enough to win in Iowa, New Hampshire, South Carolina.
After today's announcement, Paul is expected to head to New Hampshire, South Carolina, Iowa, and Nevada. Susan McGinnis, CBS News, Washington.
A Delaware father is in stable condition and improving as his 2 boys remain in critical condition after they became sick, perhaps from pesticide exposure, federal officials say during a trip to the U.S. Virgin Islands. Steve Esmond, his teenage sons, and the teen's mother fell ill more than 2 weeks ago in St. John, where they were renting a villa at a Cernusá resort. The family has confidence in their medical professionals and is hopeful for a full recovery. An EPA spokesman said the agency's preliminary test results show a presence of the very harmful chemical methyl bromide in the unit the family was staying. Blues legend B.B. King has been hospitalized for dehydration, according to his daughter Claudette. King's dehydration was caused by his type 2 diabetes, but is doing much better. No more information on his condition or where he was hospitalized was immediately available. B.B., short for Blues Boy, was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1987 and has 30 Grammy nominations. The Thrill Is Gone singer suffered from dehydration and exhaustion after a show in Chicago last year, forcing him to cancel the remainder of his tour. King is 89 years old. And after the break, we'll be back with your weather and sports. Stay tuned.
They're nature's architects and engineers, crafting homes of spectacular design. And every one of these fantastic creations tells a story. Our story starts with the most prolific of builders, A bird's nest is no simple matter, whether from coarse red clay or the finest silken threads. This is where the home life of wildlife begins.
Wednesday evening at 8 o'clock Eastern.
Welcome back to Public Eye News. My name's Dane Wormlinger with your local weather. Well, it certainly wasn't a warm day here in Marquette, but you know, at least the sidewalks are starting to clear up from all the snow. Well, for now anyway. Right now in Marquette, it's cloudy with a temperature of 32 degrees with winds north-northeast at 7 miles per hour, and the barometric pressure is holding at 30.43 inches. Looking into tonight, you can expect snowy conditions with a low of 31 degrees and winds east at 9 miles per hour. And into tomorrow, snowy morning showers with a high of 41 degrees and winds east at 10 miles per hour. And looking around the UP right now, in Sault Ste. Marie, it's 41 degrees with partly cloudy skies. In Manistee, it's 39 degrees with cloudy skies. In Escanaba, 43 degrees. And in Menominee, 37 degrees with partly cloudy skies. Iron Mountain right now is at 40 degrees with cloudy skies. Ironwood at 37 with cloudy skies. And Houghton's at 35. And back here in Marquette, it's 32 degrees with cloudy skies. Let's take a look at your week ahead. On Thursday, you can expect a high of 38 degrees, a low of 31 degrees and rainy skies. On Friday, a high of 38 degrees, a low of 29 degrees and cloudy skies. And on Saturday, a high of 50 degrees, a low of 31 degrees and sunny skies. Well, Floyd, I know a lot of people weren't expecting the snow to come back, but I heard a lot of people were expecting Duke to win.
That's right, and Duke delivered, Dane. To bring March Madness and the NCAA tournament to a close, the Duke Blue Devils defeated the Wisconsin Badgers last night. The final score was 68-63 in a back-and-forth game that was not decided until there was less than a minute left in the game. Duke was led by guards Tyus Jones, who scored 23 points, and Grayson Allen, who scored 16 points off the bench. Wisconsin did not go down without a fight, however. They were led by forward Frank Kaminsky, who scored 21 points and grabbed 12 rebounds. Duke coach Mike Krzyzewski had this to say about the game and his players. Quote, "It was divine. All these guys have become students of the game, and they share knowledge," end quote. Duke and its coach Mike Krzyzewski now hold 5 national championships. The Detroit Tigers defeated the Minnesota Twins 4-0 on opening day yesterday. Pitcher David Price came within 1 out of a shutout in the victory, striking out the first 13 batters and only allowing 5 hits before being pulled out. Price has started in the last 3 games played at Comerica Park and had this to say about the big win yesterday. Quote, "It's always big to go out there and put up zeros and pitch late into the game. To be able to do it on opening day, that definitely makes it a little bit more special," end quote. The Tigers will take on the Twins again tomorrow in Game 2 of the 3-game series. The Detroit Red Wings will take on the Carolina Hurricane tonight. Both teams are trying to reevaluate after losses. The Wings are coming off of a 2-1 loss to the Washington Capitals on Sunday, while the Hurricane are coming off of a loss to the Buffalo Sabres on Monday. The Wings hold a record of 41 wins, 25 losses, and 13 ties, and are looking to secure their 24th straight postseason. The Wings have only won 1 of their last 5 games, but can clinch a playoff spot with a victory tonight if the Pittsburgh Penguins can manage to defeat the Ottawa Senators. The Wings are 16-1-1 against the Hurricanes at home and hope to make that 17. The puck will drop tonight at 7:30 at Joe Louis Arena. So, Eric, I hear if I'm a Chicago Cubs fan that I might have trouble using the bathroom.
Yes, Floyd, they're getting some construction done at Wrigley Field, so a lot of people are just missing parts of the game and, frankly, having to hold it in. Chicago Cubs fans have got to go, but many can't find a place to do their business. The Chicago baseball fans are taking to social media to gripe about the lack of restrooms at Wrigley Field. A massive renovation project at the ballpark kept some of the bathrooms closed during the season opener on Sunday. The team is apologizing for the inconvenience, and some fans say they missed part of the game because of the long and uncomfortable bathroom lines. The Cubs say they'll add portable toilets to help fans looking to crack the seal. So guys, could you imagine being at a baseball game and not only are you standing in line to wait, you're missing a game you paid for.
Right. I know, so it's the best part of the game?
Yeah, I mean, that would be devastating to me.
I'd want a refund, honestly.
Yeah, a refund or whatever they can get out of it. But thank you for tuning in to Public Eye News today. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you tomorrow.
The preceding program was produced in studios located in the Edgar L. Hardin Learning Resources Center by WNMU-TV, Northern Michigan University Public Television.